Welcome, everybody, Star Flag Media Gaming. My name is Anthony, and alongside me, it's the man, the myth, the legend, none other than Chris.
It's the one and
That's
only
right.
Talents A6 Soul,
Go check him out on his YouTube channel. He hasn't
aka
posted in a
Mr.
while,
I
but
Called It.
please check him out. We got a special edition of Star Flag Media of Drunken Idiots. We got a special end of the year edition. It's our first full year. We started in late 2023, starting the podcast and the show, and we finally had a full 12 months of gaming. And today we're going to do an end of year wrap up. We're going to go over everything that happened throughout the year and then finalize it with our game of the year after some fan voting was done. And we had a few votes. We're going to announce the winners. All right. So
I was
yeah, go
gonna
on.
win some stuff
You are lagging, my friend.
too.
What was that?
All right, and I'm pleased to announce that Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, he passed away this year.
That's right.
Why did it go green? Oh, okay. I can't see you. So yeah, he passed away, and I just want to say that the Dragon Ball comic book is going to continue next month in February, and um, in the anime, they got a new anime series out, and Vegeta has finally went Super Saiyan 3. Like he knows the technique, and he beat one of the story arc 3, and he ain't even look like he looked like he was upset that he even had to use Super Saiyan 3 to fight someone.
Well, we could talk about that on the Echo Chamber. If you guys want to check us out over in the other channel, we have another podcast. We talk about pretty much anything we want. It is uncensored and untethered. Check us
Yeah, it
out. But
wasn't
yeah,
that.
rest in
It
peace
wasn't no.
to. We did talk about it on this channel, because we were a little bit more uh, all over the map with the
I just
show.
wanted to give an
But
update.
yeah, a
That's
little
all. That's
update
all.
on Toriyama, R.I.P. So, first big news of the year was almost the very first news story of the year was Xbox going mostly multi-format. We get the big rumor that Xbox exclusives were going to start appearing on PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. And the fan response to this was predictably emotional, with most either denying it or accusing Microsoft of betrayal. And that started off the year and ironically also ended the year with more confirmation and more affirmations. But that's how it started, and the channel has been even hotter in the last couple of months with all of the videos that we have been putting together here. With what's been going on with Xbox. So yeah, any thoughts
Yeah,
on
man.
how we
We
got that year
the
started?
best thing. I mean, I want to say that I called it. I sent you a clip of me earlier this year. I was definitely I was definitely inebriated when I said that I think that Xbox is going to be pushing third party console makers to make a Game Pass machine.
All right. Yeah, so we haven't gotten there just quite yet, but that is still a rumor, so we don't know that yet. So we're just kind of going over what we know for sure. What ended up being a rumor at the beginning of the year as far as them, going multi-platform with their exclusives turned out to be 100% true. Because now we know that Starfield and Indiana Jones, the games that supposedly were not going to come, are definitely on the horizon. As for the multi-platform or a Game Pass stuff, that's probably going to be announced at CES sometime next week in January 7th to be exact. So hopefully we get a little bit more info on that. The big scandal that came after that was 14,500 jobs across gaming layoffs started happening in February. I don't know if you remember all that massive layoff stuff that happened earlier this year. Uh, Thousands of jobs losses over at Microsoft, at Sony, EA, Ubisoft, Take Two, Epic Games, Twitch. Just 14,000, almost 15,000 jobs lost across the entire industry. It was almost as if going woke made you go broke. go
Yeah,
go figure. And then in March we got, well, a little bit later on and throughout the year we got cool uh update on what live service games were going to be happening. So we had disasters in live service games. Basically, multiple live service games were shut down. Skull and Bones was a major flop. It didn't. Then we had Concord that didn't even last 2 weeks on the service. Lost Sony close or more than $400 million. That was not a good look for that live service game. And the crazy part is they're still doubling down on that shit. We're still on the horizon for some more live service games. And then we had games like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, which was also another amazing flop for the year. Any thoughts on
yeah.
those?
I mean, no one really likes live service games. I think we all know that the industry just trying to chase Fortnite.
Yep.
Fortnite is a giant. I'm saying, so it's just like I get Sony's point. I get where they come in because they're like, yo, we got a lot of single player franchise games, and they want to delve into multiplayer, and they're like, why not live service? So
Yep.
um, the fact that they had a plan to release like 14 live service games in the coming years, and I think they dropped about 8. Um, what we said that game that what was the game that took 2 weeks and got refunded?
Concord.
You just said the name.
Concord.
Yeah, so Concord
Mm-hmm.
was a massive flop,
Mm-hmm.
and Helldivers
We're about to
was
get we're about to get to
uh
Helldivers. Yeah, Sony had a couple of big oopsies this year with Concord and
was
Helldivers.
was very critical.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think it's
So
just like I mean they already had a roadmap of saying what they were going to do. So hey, they knew some were going to work, some wasn't going to work. So I just think they're just trying to catch lightning in a bottle. As far as for like all the third party developers out there that's making um the those online games like that, just stop.
just stop.
Um, the trending, yeah, just stop.
Please. And if you are gonna do it, please make your character models attractive. Kill the Justice League made everybody ugly on purpose. Um, you know, which brings us to the next point. Games that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on. It sparked an anti-woke outrage. In March, a little known company called Sweet Baby Inc. was suddenly thrust into the spotlight by anti-woke gamers outraged by, as one put it, a narrative consultant's promulgation of ideological worldviews that I believe have taken a hold of Western world media and gaming as a whole, which is, of course, just craziness, right? So they made a compilation on Steam where you can see every game that Sweet Baby Inc. ever works on. And all of those games begin to massively fail. And the last one being Dragon Age Veilguard, which, had its woke non-binary agenda attached to that. So yeah, Sweet Baby Inc.'s controversy was a big one.
Yeah, yeah. So what suck about that Dragon Age was I had a friend that I grew up with, and he used to love playing Dragon Age on the 360.
Oh yeah, I
And
love those games. BioWare.
when I realized that the franchise was was coming back,
All right, guys.
yeah. When
There
I
is a severe lag
heard
on
that
that.
the franchise was coming back out, I was like, all right, maybe this might, one of the first reviews were like, one of the first reviews I seen and I watched, it came from IGN. And it just didn't sound right. So I just waited for more reviews to come out, and then boom,
Yeah,
Dragon Age is
IGN gave
just
it a
horrible,
9 out
man.
of 10 and said that their custom creations were amazing, the best ever. And they 9 out of 10. Um, which brings us to the Helldivers controversy. Sony goes to war over Helldivers PSN requirements. So what happened? Arrowheads, um, you know, great shooter, was a monster on a roll. Following its launch in February, and then Sony decided that they wanted to add the requirement of having a PSN account and if you wanted to keep playing it, which then of course put a wall. More than 220,000 negative reviews flooded into Steam, dragging Helldivers to overwhelmingly positive rating to a quote mixed rating. And Sony stood on its ground briefly, but then eventually backed down, leaving Arrowhead to clean up the mess. The outcome being that they lost a huge, huge amount of this player base, and now they're still struggling to get people back. They announced that zombie kind of DLC coming to this system, and it does look really cool. I'm not gonna lie, I am kind of hyped for the zombie DLC, but I think it's too little, too late for Helldivers to recapture that magic. TikTok was really a factor in making it go viral, and everybody decided that fascism was cool for democracy. But it was cool,
Yeah,
man. It was cool.
yeah. I mean, Cyclone played. He said the update was cool.
Yeah.
You never know.
He's
It
he
might
said it's
turn
still
around.
fun. And the game is still fun. We know it's still fun. They did nerf a whole bunch of crap. They made it crazy. They went back on all that nerfing, and this new update
Yeah, they probably
probably is
balanced
cool.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, so maybe it's worth checking out now and seeing if we can't get a few rounds in, and it's probably still fun. But yeah, that was the Helldivers controversy. That followed up with Ubisoft grappling with Assassin's Creed Shadows because they decided they wanted to put a 6'5" brolic African in feudal Japan as a samurai. Oh,
yeah,
and he can be gay in feudal Japan. Listen, we all know that back then a lot of homosexuality and all that stuff was happening and all that. But, when the actual scholars came out and were like, yeah, he existed as a person. He was like a legitimate guy. He was there in history. But when you read into his history, it was actually a little bit more sad than it was cool. How they would dress him up in samurai gear. They gave him a short sword, and it was more like a novelty to parade him around and show off. Look at what we got. We got this foreigner dressed up in samurai gear. He was known to have taken place in battle in twice, which he immediately then surrendered. And usually when you surrendered, they would kill you. And the opposing people didn't even deem him worthy of that. So they returned him. They returned him to, the people before. People need to understand that Japan is a massively racist country to this day. They are extremely xenophobic. And in the 1300s or feudal Japan, whenever that was, the 1700s, it wasn't going to be much different. So now Ubisoft has to eat whatever is coming to them because when they unveiled this thing, they delayed the game. And now it's coming out in 2025. And I don't know what they're going to do. For the sake of, diversity and inclusion, their main character is a Japanese woman and an African man in feudal Japan. That's their next Assassin's
yeah,
Creed. And that's their moneymaker. This is the one and Ubisoft had Star Wars Outlaws come out and flop, which was a major flop for them. And now this is their Call of Duty. If this flops, I think this is the end of Ubisoft.
yeah. It's already a wrap.
I think so
I
too.
don't. Yeah. I think it's past the writings on the wall. I don't think Ubisoft will be here 12 months from now,
Interesting.
or
I
the
definitely, yeah,
Ubisoft
they're
that
gonna be
we know.
acquired. Yeah, they're gonna be acquired. I think there's gonna be
Yeah,
some
the
kind of a sale.
Ubisoft that we know is not going to be the
The
same
same.
12
Yeah,
months
for
from now.
sure. Um, their saving grace is they still have a couple of franchises that do well, and it's because they're mindless, fun for people of all ages. So like the Rabbids and Rayman, but they only bring those out once every couple of years. They're banking on Assassin's
You
Creed.
want to know something interesting? I was on a PlayStation store. I was looking up. I was looking up something interesting because I was playing Call of Duty. And you know how the skill based matchmaking sometimes it'll throw you in the blender.
Yeah,
So I was like, you know what? I just want to just sit back and just play some casual, just mind numbing, just game.
just fun, something
So
fun. Yeah,
yeah, so I was looking for Sonic, and I was like, damn, I beat all these Sonic games. So Rayman popped up, and I was like, I beat that one too. And I noticed there was a Rabbits game, and I was like, I've never heard of that. When did that come out?
yeah.
And I was just kind of like, wow, they probably stopped marketing that to push Star Wars and put the money on Star Wars, and a
Rabbids was
Rabbits
solid
game
for
stuck
them.
by.
Yeah, they were a solid moneymaker for them. Honestly, when I look at the Rabbids, when they came out, like if you look at what the Minions did later on, the Minions just copied the Rabbids. It's exactly the same. It's just Minions versus, bunny rabbits. But their attitude, the way they scream, the whole nonsense, that is like Ubisoft got an opportunity taken away from them. They could have had the next Minions, you know what I mean? It's huge.
And you know who has the next Minions now?
Was that
Sony and
with?
Astrobots.
I don't think so.
Astrobots.
That's not no, yeah. That's not there yet. Maybe.
If you
Maybe in a few
play, if you
years.
play, if you
Yeah.
play the demo that released on the PS5 and the new one, how they always carry and use the Astrobots is Minion esque.
Minion-esque. Yeah, I guess. Next thing that happened was Dr. Disrespect. Who can forget? Dr. Disrespect had a huge controversy, got left out of Twitch, and then he made his comeback tour in September. And now Dr. Disrespect left YouTube altogether, only puts clips up. He streams exclusively on Rumble. He's got around 80,000 subs on there, which is nowhere near the 4.5 million that he used to have over on Twitch. But with that also comes part ownership of Rumble. So he's doing quite well for himself on that end. Imagine being at the beginning of what YouTube is and getting part ownership to stream on their platform. And then, hopefully with growth in 10 years, you probably are going to be, a multimillionaire times over. Well, with all of the controversy surrounding Dr. Disrespect, it's amazing that he turned it around. And, I'm sure there was a lot of legal gray areas and loopholes because nothing ever really finally, no transcripts ended up coming out. But the doc is back.
I mean, I don't know what to say.
It is what it is.
I
It
just hope,
happened.
yeah, I hope it isn't true. But
We know there's some truth to it. He admitted to some of the truths. Either way, the next one was kind of a surprise to all of us, including Sony and including the gaming world, which was Bungie was in a lot worse shape than we all thought they were. Bungie had massive layoffs, 220 people in July, less than a year after their 2023 layoffs. And then it turned out that they were actually on the brink of bankruptcy when they sold themselves, claiming that they were basically in better position than they actually were as a company. Um, so Sony probably would have been better off. Well, they didn't know. Everybody kind of just didn't know. Buying the Destiny property instead of acquiring how many millions of dollars, which basically put them afloat. But yeah, Bungie is another one of those companies that I think is gonna be gone in the next 24 months for sure. It's gonna be Ubisoft and Bungie. I think it's gonna be Bungie gonna be dried up and their assets are gonna be moved around to other developers. That was a big one. Which was crazy because God, how many memories of Halo did we ever put in because of this company? And Bungie is one of the all-time greats. Yeah,
yeah,
Sony, we talked about Concord. Concord already getting pulled under. And then we had the Nintendo Switch 2 secrets all coming out. So as we know, last month started seeing the floodgates open up. for Nintendo Switch 2 leaks. At first, we were like, rumors, speculations, but then slowly but surely, we started seeing all of the leaks, actual dummies, third party companies putting out their accessories. And Nintendo is doing absolutely nothing to put a stop to it. They're pretending like there's no problem because Christmas and Hanukkah's not done yet, and they still need to sell more Nintendo Switch consoles. So Nintendo Switch 2 was almost a secret, and now it is basically out. Gonna wrap things up with last year in December. We had the trailer, the first big trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 around this time, and it's been a year, and we got no new trailer. We got no new updates, which lends to the rumor that was happening around summer that GTA 6 would be delayed and pushed back possibly into either very late 2025 or early 2026. And as much as Rockstar wanted to say no, everything's on track, well, whole year went by and we didn't even get a second trailer. So all of this stuff happened and we still don't have GTA 6.
Yeah, man, especially like on their Instagram. They had like a lot of hints that they were going to drop an announcement today. So I thought that was weird that they ain't dropped none.
They didn't drop nothing. Now there's still technically 3 or 4 days left in the year, maybe, but I don't see it happening now. We're probably gonna see something maybe around March. And
It was a lot of hints, bro.
yeah,
They had a lot of hints pointing towards the 27th.
and yeah. So as of this recording, and we're almost done with the day at 11:20 p.m. my time, 10:20 your time. Nothing dropped for GTA 6. That's a kind of a bummer. I am hyped because Vice City was my favorite GTA, and I want to see what they do with the new one. It'd be cool to go back to Vice City. But yeah, so then lastly, we're going to be ending on our Game of the Year. Game of the Year. Last week we put together a list for Game of the Year nominees, and then out of those, 4 made it to the top, and I put those 4 on the community page for a vote. And here are the results. I am going to that page right now.
99.
All right, so the top 4 were Indiana Jones on Xbox, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom on Switch, Black Myth Wukong, which is multi-platform, and Astrobot for the PS5. And in 4th place, with out of those top 4, there were actually 0% votes once they got narrowed down to 4 for Indiana Jones. So Indiana Jones by default is in 4th place out of those 4. And in 3rd place is Black Myth Wukong with 13% of the vote. With 38% of the vote is Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And with 50% of the vote and Game of the Year for Star Flag Media is Astrobot for the PS5. So that's how we end the year, man. What are your thoughts and any big predictions for 2025?
Nah, man, I'm chilling.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the most craziest end of year, or even the whole year was just full of craziness. And I think my big prediction is everything that was already in development that was woke is gonna come out. It's gonna flop, and then we're gonna start getting back to what gamers actually want. And I think we're gonna get a lot of developers that were too big and too woke go out of business, or absolutely have to restructure to give people what they actually want to pay for. That's my big prediction, and it's a good one. And it would be healthy for the industry if we get something like that. And in the background, we'll get Nintendo just being Nintendo. Not paying attention to anything anybody else is doing. Oh, one last thing before we wrap up. One last thing. So as we know, we talked about the Nintendo Switch 2 leaks. A little rumor that I that was going around is well, speculation to be exact, is what does that new C button do at the bottom of the the Joy-Con. We've already got a capture button, so what does the C stand for? And I've got a theory, and I believe it's a cast button. So you might be able to cast to the dock that's plugged into your TV and have the Switch in your hands, much like the Wii U gamepad. So I think possibly a casting button where you don't need to have the Switch docked in order to cast, as long as it's got a battery charge. And maybe this will allow for the return of dual screen gaming, which was their original plan for the Wii U, but they couldn't figure out how to make it portable. Well, it's been 10 years. I think that this might be maybe a cast button, kind of like the Chromecast. And that's what the C stands for, maybe for casting. But we'll find out. We'll find out. Consumer Electronics Show is coming up in about a week, and we'll have news on that, of course. And I always want to wish everyone happy holidays and happy New Year, everybody. It's already 2025 by the time you guys are catching this. The next episode will be in 2025. I want to thank you guys for joining us, and catch you guys next time.
Thank you, guys.